going on? No one else is in the truck, sir. Can I please get my cell phone? Ma'am, what's going on?
I'll tell you in a second. Take a seat.
I'm so confused. Can I get my cell phone?
I will get your cell phone for you. Take a seat. Toss it out the window?
She could have out that window, but who is that? Hart?
No, that's Tom check. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Stay back!
Dispatch 7346. Status medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
Police officers arrested this young woman at gunpoint, put her in their squad car, and left it on the train tracks. As the young woman was calling out to police officers to try and get their attention about the fact that there was in fact a train approaching, all the police officers did was get themselves out of the way while they left her in danger. Now, there's a million different layers to this. First and foremost, you don't park on the train tracks under any circumstances for any reason. And on that front alone, that really raises a ton of questions about what exactly was going on. Then the other layer is the fact that despite what seems to be pretty obvious, at a minimum, negligence on the part of the officers arresting this young woman, the officer was placed on paid leave while they investigate. At a minimum, this seems like pretty obvious negligence, but could potentially even be an intentional effort to kill this person. What's even more infuriating is this person was literally being arrested for a suspected road rage incident. And for that, she was once again arrested at gunpoint before quite literally being placed on train tracks, helpless, as a literal train was approaching. There's a ton of stuff here that is simply not adding up. Trains are pretty loud things, even when they're far away. And if you hear a train, you can recognize that if you're parked on a train tracks, you should maybe move. I mean, on top of the fact that you should, once again, never be parking on train tracks anyway. But this speaks to something that I think we all really need to understand, which is our whole concept of policing is fundamentally flawed. If there was a road rage incident and she had left the scene and they were following a vehicle that fit the description, why exactly do you need to get that person while they're in their vehicle? Why do you need to arrest them at gunpoint? If you think they're going to be difficult to arrest, you can quite literally find them, get their plates, and then follow up with them at home later. If nobody's in immediate danger, you can let a little bit of time pass so that it's much easier to figure out what exactly is going on. But that would require actually having a system of justice that is interested in doing the bare minimum effort to actually talk to people and de-escalate situations, and not just come in guns blazing and then putting people in danger. Because when police officers are allowed to put people recklessly in danger just in general, it creates this culture and environment where police officers feel perfectly comfortable putting people in direct danger without even thinking about it. And now, because of the police actions, this woman is facing incredibly severe injuries, but thankfully is alive. And whether or not she was placed on those train tracks negligently or intentionally and maliciously, regardless, it speaks to the callousness towards life that police officers in the United States have. The fundamental reality is that police officers are actively making our communities less safe and endangering the lives of people in our communities. If increasing the police budgets made people safer, the United States would be the safest country in the world. And yet somehow, we're the country with the most serial killers and gun deaths per capita. And the reason for that, in my opinion, is really quite clear. If our system of justice, if the law itself determines certain types of people, certain classes of people to be inconsequential, to determine that their lives don't matter, if you have police officers who are willing to just completely endanger people's lives, if our criminal justice system is so willing to cast marginalized people out and to declare that their well-being doesn't matter, then why are we surprised that there's all this crime going? Because the truth is, serial killers and police officers, more often than not, target the same communities. Those who are marginalized by the criminal justice system and the white supremacist system of policing that we have are the same people that are targeted by violent crime. And so, believe it or not, you can actually make communities safer by replacing policing institutions with institutions of care, by putting in place systems and institutions that solidly affirm that every life matters, and that specifically marginalized people within our communities will be protected. When the unfortunate reality is, what we have now is doing the opposite. Our criminal justice system and our system of policing is all too willing to put marginalized people on the chopping block. And in some cases, that's almost quite literal. So the police officers actively putting this young woman in danger, quite literally trapping her on train tracks in front of a train, is emblematic of the way our system, our criminal justice system, treats marginalized people more broadly. It actively puts marginalized people in danger from the people who claim to be protecting, and at the same time does almost nothing to actually deal with the structural problems that put people in harm's way. Instead of a system of care or justice, we have systems that only operate to further marginalize people and place people in greater danger. So long as police officers consider marginalized people to be unworthy of consideration, people in our society will feel perfectly comfortable committing acts of violence against them. And so it's no wonder why there's so much significant overlap between white supremacist groups and police departments across the country. Because at the end of the day, they very often end up doing the same things.